Okay, so I was getting to sit and think a little bit about who I most wanted to talk to today about women's power. And I knew it had to be a woman who somehow captures the moment that we're in, the promise, the potential, the hope that goes forward. And my guest this year is all that and more. Through her very measured coverage of some of the most important topics of our time, she's become synonymous with journalistic integrity, nuanced analysis, and moral courage. Please welcome back to the stage, Abby Phillip.
Hi. That was so kind of you.
So I wanted to speak to Abby a bit about power because she's come into a very powerful role at CNN this year. But before we do that, who told you growing up that you could be somebody in the world, and how did you get that message?
Well, first of all, Melinda, thank you so much for having me here and for those incredibly kind words. It really is an honor to be here. But to answer your question, literally, my earliest memories have always been of my parents really expecting me to be anything I wanted to be. I really do remember as a young child, I actually grew up, I was born here in the United States, but I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, which is where my parents are from. Some Trinis in the room. And my parents did not come from great means by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that it was because when I was so young, they made the decision to start a family here. That I always knew that there were no limits to what was possible for me. And I've carried that with me really my whole life. But being in the United States in some ways has shown me how many other people, how many other women, how many other Black women don't have that sense of possibility. And that is perhaps the greatest barrier that we face as a nation, is allowing every young child to feel like there's something for them, that they're destined to do something, to fulfill themselves and to fulfill a role in this world.
I was lucky enough to grow up in a household as well. My parents were, my dad's engineering salary wasn't going to send all four of us to college, but they wanted us to be college going. And my parents said, we will take on the debt and you can be anybody you want to be. And I think it's such a powerful message as a child to receive. You clearly you grew up in a family where they said you could be anything. What happened when you went out into the world? Have you faced obstacles along the way, or has it just been smooth sailing all the way along?
Well, it has not. It has not been smooth sailing. Look, I think that one of the realizations that I've had is, as a journalist, I'm comfortable in being in a place where I know that there's a lot that I don't know. I have to live in that space. And sometimes I think that I'm able to do that because I've actually had to move through my entire life that way. Going from a public high school, public education, to Harvard, where I went as an undergrad, it was a culture shock. And the culture of success in this country and how to break into it, hearing Catherine talk about women VCs and how do you get into that meeting? Oh, maybe it's not a meeting. Maybe you just run into this person at the golf course. And all of those secret things that people who know, when you don't know, you have to find out. And those obstacles can be really prohibitive for so many people. I'm so grateful that I did not allow them to be prohibitive for me. There were many, many, many points in my life where I felt so out of my element, so unable to navigate those waters because I just really didn't know what I didn't know. And I always tell people, but especially young women who and women of color especially, who want to break into journalism, who want to break into anything, the number one thing that you can do is to keep going. Just keep going. Because most of the other people that you're comparing yourself to, the only difference between you and them is that they don't allow self-doubt to stop them from moving forward.
Wow, that's a powerful message. You also have a young daughter now.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think was incredible role modeling was you took your full leave.
I did.
And that's not easy to do
Yes.
when you're reporting on the news that's this 24/7 cycle. Talk a little bit about why you did that and also what you think it says to other women.
I did it for me. I want to start there. I wanted to be with my child. I wanted to be with my daughter. I felt I wasn't ready to go back at 3 months. I know that so many women do at 6 weeks, at 3 weeks. It's ridiculous, actually.
And they don't have the choice.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I could have done that. But I also thought to myself, look, I had all of the anxieties that professional women do about leaving the workforce, about what that means for my career, about how I would have to rebuild, about whether people would forget about me, about whether I would lose momentum. I left to have a child at what I thought was the height of my career at that point. And I was afraid, but I also thought about all of the women who I worked with, who had less power and agency even in my workplace, who would look at what I was doing and the choices that I made about my time and make choices about what they can do and what they should do. And I really believe, honestly, I took 5.5 months, almost 6 months. It felt like the right amount of time. And I really believe that women need that time, and I wanted to model that. I take that responsibility very seriously about the role I play, not just in my workplace, but when people see what I do, what it says to them about where we should be. I'm grateful to my employer that we have that kind of time. But when I took my leave, a lot of women I worked with who became pregnant later or were just going on their leaves, and I did the same thing. I called my friends who I worked with and I said, how much time is it okay to take? Do you think they'll notice if I'm gone for longer than 3 months? And when my friends called me, I was like, take your time. No one will notice. But I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we should sugarcoat this. When I came back to work, it was really hard. It was really hard. It was hard emotionally, it was hard professionally. Did I have to rebuild? Yes. But can you rebuild? Yes. Do I wish that our workplaces were better about making it so that there isn't a penalty for women to have children? Of course. But you can rebuild, and you will. Take the time.
Our children are precious to us, and I think they deserve that time with their parents, and yet we're the only high-income country in the world that doesn't have a paid family medical leave policy. And there are many people pushing on this because the high-income countries that have it, both the men and the women take it.
I mean, isn't it amazing the labor that women just do for free?
Yeah, that we're expected to do.
That we are expected to do. It's amazing. And that's not how it's looked at, and I think frankly, it's ridiculous.
Okay, so one last question, just because our time is short today. You had your own experience in the healthcare system having at the birth of your daughter, Naomi. Say a bit about that to the crowd, and then also talk about you're now using this incredible platform you've got to make a documentary about maternal health in our country. Speak a bit about that, please.
Yeah, this is obviously so important to me. We've been talking today, and I'm sure you all know, the Black maternal health crisis, Indigenous women as well, is really a crisis in this country. And when it was my turn to have a child, I was honestly terrified. I was really afraid, and the more I looked into it, the more afraid I became about what could happen to me, about what I didn't know. And I took that fear and I tried to use it to empower myself, to make different choices, to make choices that worked for me, to feel like I could be supported and surrounded by people who respected me and respected the choices that I wanted to make. And I had a beautiful birth experience at home, actually, and with an incredible team of midwives and a doula, my husband, my mother. Not everybody's birth is gonna be like mine, and nor should it. But it really emphasized to me that what is missing for us, even in developed nations like the United States, is attention to the woman, to the patient, to the child that they are carrying. And so we're working on a piece, and it is about the maternal health crisis, but really I would like to tell people, it's about the light at the end of the tunnel. It's about what is possible, how a birth experience can be a beautiful thing, how it doesn't have to be centered around trauma and tragedy and fear. And what does that look like for Black women in all kinds of different spaces? We were in LA a week ago filming for the shoot. We witnessed an incredible birth. And I'm really excited for this to be in the world. It'll be, I think, sometime in the next couple of months. I'll keep you posted. But I just wanted to thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about that, because to me, this is so important for all of us to reclaim childbirth and childbearing as women and to remove it from a space of trauma. It's 2023, okay? And women should be able to give birth to babies without fear. We should be able to do that. We can do that. There are all kinds of incredible models out there that are saving lives. And I think it's time, we know the statistics, I think it's time that we empower women with hope. Because there's more out there that is possible for all of us. I learned that in my childbirth experience, and I just feel so strongly about sharing that.
Well, Abby, you have stepped into a very powerful role at CNN. You're now going to host a primetime show. And what I love when I see women in roles of power is using their power in different ways, telling the stories of what life is really like and where there is hope and possibility. So I can't congratulate you enough on this role, and I am so excited to see what you do with your platform.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Melinda.
you.
Thank you.